Hey everybody, welcome to Daily Grace. In yesterday's service, we talked about how we all use maps to navigate life. Maps that are developed mostly according to our experience. And because our maps are developed according to our experience, and because our experience is of a broken world, of a flawed world, all of our maps are flawed in certain ways, and our maps are incomplete. And we're using flawed and incomplete maps to navigate the world, and so our navigation can be flawed. Look, I don't navigate marriage perfectly because my experience watching my parents navigate marriage was imperfect. I don't understand race perfectly because my experience of race was informed by generations of people who didn't understand race perfectly. Well, we also talked about how this reality puts incredible pressure on our relationships, how the fact that we're all using different, flawed, and incomplete maps leads us into a mess as we're trying to navigate this same world together. Well, the Apostle Paul in his letter to the Romans actually describes in a certain way the mess that we're in, how flawed maps were handed down, and how Jesus is our hope. So I want to read Romans chapter 5, starting in verse 17. Paul says this, he says, "For if by the trespass of one man, death reigned through that one man, how much more will those who receive God's abundant provision of grace and of the gift of righteousness reign in life through the one man, Jesus Christ? Consequently, just as one trespass resulted in condemnation for all people, so also one righteous act resulted in justification in life for all people. For just as through the disobedience of the one man, the many were made sinners, so also through the obedience of the one man, many will be made righteous." Basically, Paul is saying, look, because one flawed and incomplete map led to another, because one man rejected a right map, we all suffered because of that. But because one other man came along and lived the life we couldn't live and used the map we were meant to use, righteousness can now be made available to us. And while we might have been lost because of the trespass of one man, we can now be found because of the obedience and the righteousness of another man. Thank you, Jesus, for your obedience. Thank you for living the life that I could not live. Thank you for navigating this life perfectly, walking with me and transforming the way I now see the world so that I can be found, so that I can be seen as righteous.